right, here we go. Sarah here. Welcome back to another episode of Your Fucking Welcome. I have a quick and dirty episode for you today, and more so than an episode, I have an assignment for you. And I want to ask you sincerely to take it seriously, not because it has, anything to do with me or I'm winning from this, but because I really feel like in reflecting on what I'm about to share with you myself, I feel like I've learned so much and I've been able to shift so much and see a lot of things clearly. And so I want to give you 2 questions to reflect on yourself and not just reflect on for 2 minutes after you finish this episode and then go about your day, but I want you to really consciously and intentionally spend some time with both of them because they're simple questions, but I really genuinely believe at any stage, at any point in your life or business, reflecting on these 2 things, it's going to give you the ability to see things a lot more clearly and, more importantly, show you how to get to what you want, how to create the outcome that you actually desire for any area of your life or your business. And it's going to allow you to really see clearly what's standing in your way. And these are simple questions. I'm not trying to act as though they're like these like revolutionary questions that like I made up and nobody else has ever said before. You've probably heard similar things. But I know from experience that, again, I see a lot of women, and trust me, I do this myself, where I can think I know a concept and I can kind of rebel against really sitting with it, right? Like really taking my time and diving deeper. And so again, like I said, I feel like I've done this for myself recently, especially over the past weekend. I wanted to spend some time with both of these things. And so again, I wanted to give you the assignment as well, so that you could hopefully get some clarity and hopefully see even more, more in a more solid way than ever before what you want in specific areas. But like I said, also what you need to do to get essentially get out of your own way or get things out of your way so that you can get there. And so the first question that I want you to ask yourself is, in what areas of my life am I being wishy-washy in terms of what I want? Here's the thing. I feel like, again, this is on the surface a really basic question. But I also feel like, again, especially with women, I feel like so many of us, if we were being fully honest with ourselves, if we were being like fully in a situation where we weren't allowing fear to like run the show, we would be very clear and we would very easily be able to articulate like, this is my dream scenario and this is how this would go. But we sit there and we accept the things that we think have to be, right? And so one of the ways, this is coming up in many ways for me, but one of the ways in which this has come up for me over the past weekend is with dating stuff, right? If I'm being fully honest with myself, there are certain things that I want a potential partner to have, as well as things I want a potential partner to not have, right? I know what I want in an actual relationship. And I have found myself recently, especially again, like dating more than I have in the past couple years, I have found myself in a situation where I'm maybe talking to this person or maybe talking to that person, and they might have things, I don't want to say specifics here, but like they might have things that I'm not necessarily wanting or like truly desiring when it comes to a partner. But I'm like, oh, well, I can go on a date with this person, or, well, I could just message this person. And I'm just catching myself in all the ways that like I'm saying I want this, but I'm being wishy-washy about it. And I'm kind of sort of accepting less than, instead of just really being anchored and rooted in my vision for what it is that I actually want. And I bring this up specifically in terms of like dating, right? Because I just see the way in which that like now I can see the way in which I'm kind of prolonging getting what it is that I desire. And again, that hasn't felt as clear to me, just in an area of life that I don't feel, as solid, I guess, although I am feeling more solid about it. Whereas when I am talking to a client, right, when I'm talking to somebody who is working on their marketing strategy and they want to sell this thing, right, at this price, but they could sell it for less, or they could sell this thing too, and they're doing a little bit of this and they're doing a little bit of that. it's so clear to me when I'm like, okay, but like you're saying you want this, but your actions are not declaring that. And so, of course, it's not all that shocking that you're not exactly getting what it is that you want, right? And so, again, like being able to see that so clearly in business and then being able to apply it in my dating life, it's just always a helpful, I don't know, like frame of reference in terms of looking at where I'm not doing what I know to be true in one area, right? Because again, maybe I'm a little bit more emotional or I'm a little bit, I don't know, less clear or less confident, I guess, in terms of like the experience of it all. And so I just want you to, I know I say this often, but like on a micro level with a fine tooth comb, when it comes to whatever it is that you really want right now, maybe it's again the relationship, or maybe it's the business, and maybe it's a certain amount of money, or maybe it's the business model, right? You're sitting there saying that if I had it all my way, I would just take on one-on-one clients at high ticket prices. But then you're selling this low end program, or then you're launching this course, and you're not being in alignment with what you're saying that you actually want. You're being wishy-washy, right? You're being kind of up in the air and not fully deciding, not fully declaring, and not sticking by what it is that you actually desire. And so, again, I want to assign you today to sit with and reflect on and really get clear about in what ways in your life, whatever area you want to, all of them, one area, in what ways are you just being on the fence? In what ways are you being wishy-washy and not fully taking a stand for what it is that you actually desire and exactly the way that you desire it? I want you to get as specific as you possibly can. No rules, no desire to out there. I want you to just really go there and be fully honest with yourself and your journal. And really, like if you can't be fully honest with yourself and with your journal, we have some issues here, right? Like this is a different thing, but I just want to say it. I read something the other day where somebody was talking about how, women, for example, is what is the way that the article was written, but they were like, how women will not talk to their partner about what it is that they really want. Or like, let's say they're in the early stages of dating somebody. They won't be honest about what it is that they desire. They find it easier to Google a million different articles about like, when is he ready to get serious with me? Or people or women are more ready to go to the psychic and ask questions like that than they are to actually express the truth to their partner. And so I bring that up because I find it almost comical, not really comical, because I know firsthand how deep this can all go and how scary it can feel so often. But it is a little bit funny when you think about the fact that like we expect to get the business, again, the relationship that we want, but we can't be honest with ourselves. We can't be honest with our journal. We can't be honest with, our partners, right? And then of course, it's not all that shocking that we wind up so far from what it is actually the ideal situation. And so again, I just want you to take that time to really be as honest, as fully, brutally honest with yourself as possible, because that's going to be the first step in terms of getting what it is in that area that you actually want for yourself. And again, I find that until you can take that step, until you can do that for yourself, what you want is going to elude you, unfortunately. And so again, what are you being wishy-washy on? And I want you to reflect on that as deeply and as specifically as possible. And the second part of it, the second question that I want to give you, which has been, again, a powerful question for me over the past couple of weeks, is what do I need to unbury myself from? This word came up when I was on the retreat and the girls asked us, what is the problem you solve in one word? One word, not two words, one word. And I was, how I over explain all the time. So the idea of just putting it into one word, I'm like, it felt like quite a challenge. And the word that just kept coming up for me was like unburied, right? I want to help the women that I work with, women of the world, to be able to get unburied from having the life, having the business, having everything the way that they want it, unburied from everything from like weight that they don't want to stories that they've held on to their entire lives, limiting beliefs and fears and strategies that they don't want and opinions from others. Like I just want to help that woman kind of shed everything that is holding her back, right? Getting out from the layers and layers and layers that are feeling like are on top of her, and get unburied from those things. And so as I was saying that at the retreat, and as I've reflected on it in being home, I've really just taken some really like conscious and intentional time to reflect on, in every area, again, what do I need to get unburied from so that I can have everything that I want? And all of these, these questions, the answers don't have to necessarily all be these massively profound things. Like, even when I was doing the unburied exercise, like little things like, oh, I have to really make sure that I get this like auto pay turned off, right? Like I'm paying for this service that I'm not actually using. The clutter that so often really kind of buries us, right, mentally. And clutter meaning the physical, like the physical clutter in your actual place, but also like, again, the thought that like, oh, I'm spending this money on this subscription that I don't want, and it's more money going out, and it's causing me to feel like I have to work harder to make more money. Meanwhile, I'm paying for these things that I don't want. Like, I just want to feel clean, and I want things to feel simple, and I want to trim the fat, and I want to unburden myself from anything that doesn't have to be in my existence, essentially, right? And so I want you to pay attention to this when it comes to when you think of you getting to that ultimate goal, right? I have a $50 million a year business. I have this type of relationship. I'm living in this type of body, right? If we are spelling out exactly what it is that you want in each of those areas, and then you reflect on what is essentially being held over you, what is burying you from being able to break through and get that thing. And again, it can be physical things, silly things, or it could be some really deep fears that you have. I just want you to, again, take that moment to address some of them. And I want to say that, like, something that I've leaned into more recently, and is not something that I feel certainly like an expert on, but I feel like there are so many things that are coming up for me lately in terms of like shame and memories that feel shameful, and things that might feel, I don't know, embarrassing or hurtful, that I didn't want to touch, that I didn't want to go back to, that I didn't want to reflect on. And not that I'm reflecting on them or overanalyzing them or obsessing over them, but those moments that I've done my best to bury, right? They're still there. They're still lurking. And I have just found that the more that I can like really sit with those memories, maybe write out a little bit about those memories, write out how I felt or reflect on how I felt, I've been able to move through them a lot more quickly. And I've found in addressing them, even if it's just mentally, addressing them has allowed me to kind of free myself from those memories. And again, it's been another one of those things that allows me to feel unburied. Like, this memory did not mean what I thought it meant. I kind of give myself love and give myself compassion for how things happen in those moments. I can release them. And then I find that they're this thing that I take away the power of that memory, and it no longer feels as though it's something that is, or that possibly could bury me from getting to, again, where I want to go. Right. And so again, I know that so much of this work is not fun. It's not straightforward. There's no right or wrong here, right? Like, don't force yourself to figure out a certain memory. Don't force yourself to write something specific. Allow your mind to just go where it goes, and allow yourself to process what you need to process. And again, like, allow it to be messy, and allow whatever comes up to come up. But again, at the end of the day, I feel like this is the constant theme of this podcast, and really what I have to say in general. And so I'm kind of sorry for being repetitive, although I'm not, because I don't think it ever is, again, irrelevant. But like, the bottom line is that you get to have everything the way that you want it. You get to have the biggest, boldest, most beautiful version of the life, the business, the relationship, all of it. And I want to, as much as humanly possible, keep reminding you that you don't have to resign yourself to less. You don't have to accept less. And you can look at the moments where you might be being wishy-washy, or you might be allowing certain things to bury you and hold you back from what it is that you want. I want as much as possible to be this constant reminder for you that like you're a perspective shift, you're an action step away from getting that much closer. And life's going to happen to all of us. Shitty things happen to all of us. I'm not acting as though, you think positively and everything will work out. And that's not the way that I mean it. But I wish so deeply that I understood how much more power I have. Like, I wish I knew that so much earlier. And if, again, I can help wake you up to one thing 5 minutes earlier, that feels like a really big deal to me. And so, again, know that I'm coming at this always from this place of you are so much more fucking powerful than you have ever probably been taught, than you've ever realized before. And you have the capability and the power to create a life and a business and a relationship, all of it, that is so much more incredible than you could possibly ever imagine. And I want to make sure that you are not quitting on yourself, that you're not resigning yourself to less, that you're not, again, accepting less. And little silly questions like this that are not silly at all have the power to really tie your head on straight, if you will, and get you the clarity and the confidence and the vibrational shift, essentially, so that you know that you can have it, you know that it's possible, you can see the vision, you can see what has to change, and that can put you on the path to actually doing that. And again, you taking the time to intentionally sit with those things can do more for you than I can possibly express to you. And I want to beg you, if you're not already, please, please, please give yourself the time to do that, because there's no work that's more powerful. I know that so many people, including myself, find it so much easier to read a book or to listen to somebody else, and they resist sitting with their own thoughts. They resist journaling, and they resist the meditating, all of it. They resist being still with themselves. And I can't express to you enough that like how much power comes from that place when you're not distracted, and how much clarity comes when you allow it to come through. And I just really, really, really want that for you, truly, truly. And so reflect on those questions, do your assignment, and I will talk to you in the next episode. Bye.